Hello, dreamers, doers, and joy seekers. Welcome to another episode of the Imagine More podcast, where we believe the best way to predict the future is to imagine more. More courage, more community, more creativity, and yes, more joy. I'm your host, Rose Young, event planner, podcaster, and proud champion of all the amazing movers, shakers, and dream makers here in Moore County. On the first and third Monday of each month, we sit down with local professionals, leaders, and everyday heroes who are out there doing big things, inspiring change, building community, and reminding us all that the future we imagine is the future we create. Today's guest is no exception. In fact, she's a living example of how resilience, purpose, and joy can turn a lifetime of challenges into a legacy of leadership. Born in Havana, Cuba, during the Cuban Revolution, Maria Carlton came to the United States as a young girl and has spent her life following her curiosity, passion, and purpose. With 40 plus years of leadership in healthcare, human resources, and executive coaching, Maria is a powerhouse of experience, wisdom, and heart. She's the founder of Future Reach Coaching, a certified HR professional, an executive coach, a community leader, and now an author with her new book, Don't Kill the Joy: How Fun at Work Creates Teams That Thrive and Results That Last. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and get ready, because today's conversation is about imagining more for your work, your life, and your community. Maria, welcome to the Imagine More podcast. We are so excited to have you here.
Rose, thank you. I am so excited to be here.
You have such an incredible journey. Born in Cuba, coming to the U.S. during a time of massive change. How did those early experiences shape your outlook on resilience, leadership, and finding joy even in difficult circumstances?
Rose, my parents taught me a powerful lesson, and they were incredible. They had to, face a lot of difficult situations,
Yes.
and they taught me to have courage in the face of unsettling situations. For them to fear, for them, the thing was to fear nothing, really. And the biggest fear was to not do anything at all that could actually change your situation.
Oh, wow.
So even if the choices they made were a gamble, they had to take that gamble if they meant that they could improve whatever current situation they happened to be in. When we came to the United States, my father had to stay behind for the first year, and at the time, we didn't know whether we would ever see him again. And
How scary.
it was scary. It was scary. My mom came with 3 small children.
By herself.
And no husband. And just imagine, we were coming to a place where we didn't know the culture, we didn't know the language, we didn't know the surroundings or anything. But my mother was incredible. She tried to normalize things as fast as possible for us. She always made everything seem like it was like we were headed out for an adventure. And she encouraged us to have fun even when things were tough, which is like, I think about it now and I think, oh my, how incredible. She often hid a lot of the anguish and uncertainty that she felt from us, and she always looked for ways to celebrate the new experiences we were having. For example,
Okay.
I remember the first time we ever had pizza.
Pizza.
Can
No
you
kidding.
imagine? It was like a big deal.
No, I can't imagine.
We had never seen a pizza. So we were oohing and eyeing and figuring out how you would eat this round thing. And we were absolutely fascinated. So that was, something that I recall. I don't recall the struggles. I recall many of those experiences. I remember, her and my aunt taking the two babies, my brother and my cousin, and my cousins who were and me between the ages of 6 to 8. And we would walk to Bayfront Park from the Franklin apartments where we were staying. And I don't recall those hardships. I don't recall the Franklin being an old, dilapidated building or, not having elevators or anything. I just remember how much fun we had climbing the trees and playing in the park. So I know now how much struggle they faced and how resilient they were to find the silver lining in everything.
Oh, your mom sounds like an amazing lady.
She was. She was very inspirational.
Does she still inspire you today?
Yes, even though she's passed, every day she
Yes.
inspires me.
What do you think that you do as a mother that she did as a mother?
She's very optimistic. She's very philosophical about life.
Oh, that is you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what do you actually remember about the trip from Cuba to America? Do you remember being on the boat or how you got here?
We actually were on a plane.
On a plane, okay.
We were one of those who were fortunate enough to come on what they termed the freedom flights before they cut them out.
Oh, okay.
And I remember heading to the airport, and my grandmother, who stayed in Cuba on my father's side, gave me a doll. And it was, one of those things that I had with me. And unfortunately, because they would check everything out, they took that doll apart.
Oh, no.
Because they were looking for jewels and money, and so it's kind of dismembered the doll.
Oh, goodness.
So I remember that, and I remember how sad I was to be leaving my grandparents behind.
Right.
But at the same time, sort of excited about coming to a new place.
Yeah. How long was it before your father got to join you?
It was almost a year.
No. So it was your mother and her sister?
Well, it was my sister. My mother's sister was already here with her
Okay.
children and her husband, and then it was just my mother and us 3 children.
Oh my gosh, Maria. That sounds like something that you're going to see on TV. That sounds like a movie. Next up, movie. Maria Carlton's venture to Miami.
Yeah.
So you built a powerhouse career from information systems to healthcare administration to human resources, and now coaching and authoring. What motivated you to keep growing and evolving through all those stages of your career?
I would have to say that my children were a driving force. I was a single parent for a while, and I really felt like I had to be successful for them. The other reason is that I wanted to honor my parents by, demonstrating the lasting lessons that they taught me.
Right.
So I always felt like I never wanted to let them down. And then I also wanted to do it for me. I have always been someone who set goals, like learning to be a programmer.
Right.
And then owning a business. I set a goal that I wanted to own a business. I actually owned a business in my 30s.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I owned an employment agency
Okay.
and did temporary help. An employment agency that would hire temporary workers and place them in different places. I pursued I knew I wanted to pursue a graduate degree, so I did that. And yes, I wanted to write a book. It was on my to-do list.
Was it?
Since I was in high school.
Oh my goodness.
So, like my mother and father, I learned that the best lessons in life were learned through experience. And so the best education was every experience that I've ever had in my life.
Isn't that something?
And I always found that regardless of what path you take, you can always pick up something that you're going to use later on. And I always have shared that with people, whether you wait tables or, have to do something that's not in your career goals.
Yes.
You're going to use that skill somewhere else along the way.
So just learn, even if it's something that you don't like or something bad that's happened.
That's right. Yep.
Just always use it.
Yep.
So do you have any goals now that we don't know about?
I always have a goal.
Yeah. I know you do. Do you want to share?
Well, my goal right now is to be able to see this book published and to be able to write another one.
Oh gosh, another one's already in the works.
Yes, it is.
Well, let's dive into your fabulous book, Don't Kill the Joy. What inspired you to write about joy specifically, especially in the workplace, which, let's be honest, isn't always known as the most joyful environment?
Well, this is actually very personal to me because I've always had to work to support my family.
Yes.
And so, working in an environment that really, is conducive to being happy
Right.
matters to me very much. When things were good and I was contributing and feeling productive and happy, my family would be, they would experience a better version of me.
Right.
And the other thing is I always felt energized and fulfilled because the work was meaningful whenever, it was exciting and happy. Many of us tie our identity or much of our identity to the work. So
True.
it's very important that, you do something that is meaningful. However, think about it. How much time do we spend at work? In fact, literature research shows that 90,000 hours of our lifetime are spent at work.
Oh my gosh.
That is staggering.
That is staggering.
So can you imagine an environment that is intimidating?
Well, I have been there before, so I can't imagine it.
Yeah, one that is charged with emotional baggage and a demeaning or uncollaborative team. It can become draining, and both
yes.
physically and mentally. So unfortunately, I did experience that once. Now, I've been blessed with some really good bosses, but for the first time in my life, I had such an experience about 10 years ago.
Oh, tell me.
Our VP went to another area, and we had a person who took her place and set out to crash and burn everything,
Oh no.
including people. And every day we would walk into an environment where fear and intimidation were the rule, and people were humiliated publicly, and some turned on each other. It was incredible.
Oh no.
Yeah. What I observed was that work suffered, people were too scared and hiding to produce effective work or generate ideas among collaborative teams. Instead, people were isolating themselves in their cubicles to avoid
Right.
scrutiny.
Oh gosh.
So it was like, let's stay out of the radar.
Miserable.
We experienced a lot more absenteeism, more lawsuits, and a lot of people left. So a lot of departures. And the torture lasted for about 8 months. And when she left, we had to pick up pieces back of that team together. The team's life had been so totally disrupted and shattered.
Yeah.
So it took years to fix, and it really did take years to make that team whole again and productive.
Right.
So think of the time, energy, and resources that were wasted in that process.
Yeah. Absolutely. How'd you make it through?
Basically, I found a sense of humor in the whole thing.
Really?
Yes, we nicknamed, and I won't give the nickname away because it's in the book, but if you
Okay.
can think 101 Dalmatians
Yeah.
and the villain in that story,
Oh,
and
we all know who that is.
this person really looked like her, so we gave her that nickname. When you have a workplace, that is disrupted like that, it just makes it very hard.
Yeah. How many of you guys have experienced that? I know that I have. And when you dread going to work and you spend so much time there, I see why there's so much more absenteeism. And I know that, as you said, it can make you sick physically. It can actually make you sick.
It can. And when you have a workplace that makes time for joy and leaders who promote a positive culture, you can create you can create a culture that energizes and doesn't drain, and you minimize the burnout that has now become the baseline for many places, and you give people the opportunity to rediscover their purpose, connection, and fun in what they do every day.
So, one thing that stood out to me is that you talk about joy being a strategy, not just a mood. Can you unpack that a little more for us? I mean, how can leaders intentionally create environments where joy fuels results?
Well, Rose, there is tons of research showing that there is a business case for paying attention to this and making sure that employees are happy.
Okay.
The answer should be clear to most people, but it isn't.
No.
That if workers are not happy, they will leave. They have more absences and perform poorly.
Right.
And
they don't care.
They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And the statistics bear this out. The Gallup research consistently finds that engaged workers are more productive and focused on their customers. But the surprise to most businesses and business leaders is that the key driver for higher engagement or higher worker engagement, which actually translates to greater profitability, is fun and enjoying the work that you do.
Really?
Yeah. So there are other statistics in the book that point to the strategic advantages, but I really don't want to bore you with the statistics about the literature. Research supports that fact that people thrive under happy conditions.
Yes, I know, however, that you like research and statistics, and
That's right. Like I said,
you should see her. She's lighting up telling us all this. So many teams and leaders. What's one of the biggest mistakes you see organizations make when trying to build a thriving culture?
Okay, one of the biggest mistakes I see is when managers within the organization don't really know their people.
Oh, yes.
That's right. They don't take the time to make a connection, and when you can make a connection, then you can lead. People will go to the ends of the earth if they like you.
Interesting.
And if they trust you.
Yes. You know, I found that in teaching, Maria.
Exactly.
When I was interested in what my students were doing or sports they were playing or what they were doing after school, I found that they were much easier to teach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, employees are the same way.
Yes.
They want to know that you see them as a person
Uh-huh.
with interests and goals
Right.
and family.
What if I'm not very good at that kind of thing, Maria. Like, I'm not very personable. I'm like, very statistic oriented. That's all I do. I do numbers. How do I come out of myself? And
Well, it depends on whether it matters to you whether you lead or not. And I had the same problem. I was very focused on results,
Right.
problem solving.
Right.
And I once had, I was the director of a rural hospital, and I had been hired to fix some problems that they had. And I would go make rounds and just be kind of very focused. And one day I had my admin pull me aside and say, "Hey, Maria, we're kind of rural here, and we like people to talk to us. So if you're going to make friends and you want people to follow, you're going to have to chitty chat with them."
Was that an aha moment for
That was
you?
an aha moment, yeah. I was not used to that. Being from Miami, being very, Miami people are rude.
Yeah. I've never seen you rude, however. Never.
I have grown in those 20-some plus years. But yeah, I had to learn the art of connecting.
Huh.
Yeah. So the other mistake that leaders in organizations make is to assume that all the workers respond to the same type of appreciation or acknowledgement.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, so it's important to find out what motivates and drives each one of us in your organization, in your team. Not everyone is motivated by the same drivers or by the same thing. So it's important to find out what each person responds to. And once you have built that foundation of trust and credibility with your people, by connecting them, really connecting with them,
Really?
and finding out their drivers, it becomes much easier to lead.
Any tips on how to connect with someone on that deep of level?
Just finding out how they're doing,
Yeah.
what kind of interests they have.
Yeah.
How's your day going?
Right.
Yeah,
Just talk and listen.
just talk and listen.
On the flip side, what's a simple thing someone could start doing today to bring more joy and connection into their teams, even if they're not the boss?
Well, basically talk to each other, connect. It doesn't have to be intense. Just finding out what interests each person has is important. Establishing rituals in the workplace
Rituals
that are meaningful.
Oh.
Yeah. It could be celebrating milestones that are achieved as a team or as individual. Everyone should be made to feel be made to feel important.
Right.
And we need to stop focusing on the differences and start focusing on what binds us. What is the
Nice.
same? What is the common goal that we all have to share?
That is good advice for all of us, not only in the workplace, but in our lives.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, what do we have in common?
What do we have in common?
Yeah, that's great.
The universal language.
Yeah, the universal language. Before we let you go, we're going to do a little something called the quick fire round. Just say the first thing that pops into your mind. You ready?
Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Me too. Beach vacation or mountain adventure?
That's a tough one because I equally love them both.
Do you?
Yes.
I know you love the beach. I didn't know you loved the mountains
Love
too.
the mountains.
All right. Favorite leadership quote?
Ooh, I love this quote by John C. Maxwell, who is a leadership coach. And it's leadership is not about titles, positions, or flowcharts. It is about one life influencing another.
Say that again, Maria. That's a really good one.
Oh, yeah. Leadership is not about titles, positions, or flowcharts. It is about one life influencing another.
Now, don't say coffee to the next one. You got to come up with something else. One thing you can't start your day without.
A goal for the day.
I totally believe that, Maria. Do you write it down?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And at the end of the day, do you look at it?
Yes.
Yes. We're going to have to talk just a minute after this on goal setting and see if you have any tips for us. So if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Oh, wow, that's an easy one. Condoleezza Rice. I love
kidding.
politics, and she was a woman. She was African American. Interestingly, a Republican, and to me, she is a person who would be so interesting because she's not the norm of what you would expect.
Right.
So we would have a lot to talk about.
I know one time when we were walking, Maria, you had said something about the importance of voting, and it was really embedded in you, because you had to come, you had to learn everything, you had to take the test, and it's really important.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's a privilege to vote.
That's right. I remember that, Maria. That really stuck with me. What's your go-to song when you need a boost of joy?
Well, I have two.
Okay.
One is Pharrell Williams' Happy.
Okay, I know that one.
And the other one is La Vida es un Carnaval.
Oh.
Life is a Carnival by Celia Cruz, the Queen of Salsa.
Oh, the Queen of Salsa. Do you salsa dance?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. All right, best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, this came from my mother. And it is learn not to drown in a glass of water.
Oh, my goodness. How about that? And she did, didn't she?
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. I love that. All right. Is there anywhere in Pinehurst, a hidden gem that you haven't visited yet that you want to?
Oh, that I hadn't visited.
Yes.
Well, I know somewhere that I always visited, but I think I've had just about everywhere in Pinehurst because I wanted to learn where everything was.
How long have you been here?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite hidden gem?
Oh, the Sand Hills Horticultural Gardens.
No kidding. You know I've never been there.
Aha!
Yeah. So there's a hidden gem I've not visited.
Oh, that is wonderful. I love to just go over there and sit down and read.
Oh, you'll have to take me there one time. Let's do a walkthrough there.
Yeah.
All right, so we've heard lots about Maria and her book. And if you would like to work with her, or how about buy her book? Maria, can you talk us through what we can do to go and buy your book or get on a waiting list? When does it come out? Tell us all about that.
Okay, the book is going to be out late summer, early fall, and you can email me at Maria Carlton at futurereachcoaching.com if you want to for me to send you information out about a pre-sale campaign. And if you want to work with me, again, you can email me at micarlton at futurereachcoaching.com.
M.I. Carlton.
Right.
At futurereachcoaching.com.
Right. Or you can look up my website, but that would be the quickest way to get me is via my email.
How excited are you to find out when your book comes out?
I'm very excited. I have read and, of course, working on the revisions now, but it's really great because it was seeing something come to fruition that I've been working on for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you said you were thinking of a second book. Do you want to tell us what it is?
Yes. This is an idea that I had for a book because I find that people are so interesting that some of the common people, even people that are not high profile or, famous, have the most interesting stories to tell if you know where to look.
Oh.
So I'm thinking about a book that looks at people with interesting lives and putting those stories together.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Mm-hmm. I like it. I love to listen to people's stories. That's one of my favorite things to do.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's hear that tip on goal setting.
Well, in the morning when I get up, I set 3 goals for the day.
Okay.
And these are goals that have to be realistic because they have to be able to be finished by the end of the day.
Okay.
So for the first 5 to 10 minutes when I wake up, I pull out a book, a notepad or whatever, and I write down what those goals are. And these are the 3 goals that I'm going to get to on that day, and that I'm going to set my mind that I will finish them.
Right.
And by the end of the day, I look back and make sure that I've taken care of them. And normally it's a way for me to stay motivated.
Right. Now, what if you haven't completed them? Would you do it before you go to bed, or
I move them to the next day.
move them to the next day? So don't get stressed about it.
No.
Okay. That's good advice. Now, do you have any inspiration for somebody that's wanting to be a leader and be a really good leader? What's our first step besides read your book?
Besides read my book,
Yeah.
just read in general. I think all good leaders have to constantly be, it's a journey.
Yes.
And to stay current and relevant and also inspired, they should do lots of reading. There's tons of really great books about leadership out there. If you don't have the time to read a book, there's lots of articles. So, kind of it's a lifelong journey.
Right.
Make sure that once a week you're either reading a blog or hearing a podcast or learning something about leadership.
Thank you.
Yeah, or motivation or anything.
Or podcast.
Or podcast.
All right, so all of my interviewees get their own jingles. So here comes Maria's. Don't kill the joy, spark the fun. Better teams begin with one. Take the lead, brighten up your day. Maria's book will show the way.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Rose.
All right, friends, you heard Maria. Joy isn't just a nice to have at work. It's a game changer. Here's your challenge after today's episode. Find one way this week to bring a little more fun into your work. Whether it's sharing a laugh with a coworker, planning a team coffee break, or simply share a warm smile. Tiny moments of joy can create big waves of transformation. If Maria's words inspired you, and I know they did me, go grab her book, Don't Kill the Joy, and start building a workplace where energy, purpose, and results thrive together. Tell us one more time that email address, Maria.
It's micarlton@futurereachcoaching.com.
And hey, if you love today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the Imagine More podcast. Share this episode with a fellow dreamer, doer, or joy seeker who could use a little inspiration. Be sure to check out our other episodes too on morepodcast.com. There's a whole world of amazing local leaders and innovators we've had the pleasure to spotlight. And if you, yes, you, would like to be a guest on the show or know someone who's making a difference here in Moore County, we want to hear from you. Email us at info@morebizspot.com. More spelled like Moore County. info@morebizspot.com. And let's keep imagining more together. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep doing, and most of all, keep spreading that joy.